Hi everybody, this is a light language transmission for the full moon eclipse, the blood moon, the wesac moon in Sagittarius on the 26th of May 2021, but is relevant any time that you feel guided to listen to this transmission. So many themes have been coming up. What I'm really feeling is a wave of golden light, and it's very unified with I can see a opalescent white silver coming through it. I feel this is the moon, the platinum, the lunar platinum, feminine energies, and I'm really feeling an equal blending of the masculine and feminine higher energies coming in, and I can feel the third energy in there, which feels opalescent white, and I'm feeling that come in through this ascension portal, and as we agree to receive it, all the cells of our body just clearing a lot of debris and a lot of past trauma. I'm also seeing timeline shifts, so I'm seeing very much like the mission or the soul purpose that we came in with has always been there underlying as a possibility. And I've been seeing points on our chosen timelines where we've not chosen necessarily to step fully into that path, and have chosen perhaps to work on other preparatory paths in terms of at the level of consciousness that we were working through at that time to clear and learn what we needed to learn before stepping fully onto that path. And this feels like those things at different points along our journey, where we've made certain choices which were not to step fully into our path, but to choose other paths that cleared the way for our full soul-aligned path. So I'm not saying that any of our choices were in any way wrong. I'm saying that those choices were to work through things we needed to work through, learn things we needed to learn in order to come to this point that we're at now. And this is another choice point. It's a point, it's a destined choice point, and change is inevitable. It's happening. If we're receiving this wave of light that I'm perceiving, it goes into our cells, it shifts out the things that are not relevant for us anymore, and we naturally move to a higher path and make higher choices, more soul aligned. I hope I'm explaining that properly. I'll show you what the cards have brought up as well, and we'll do some light language to help you move that through. The place I'm feeling that in our bodies is very much the jaw. It feels like truths have not been revealed, truths have not been expressed, they've not been said. There's been a holding back in connecting, and possibly because one party or a part of yourself even hasn't been ready to really fully see the truth, fully embrace the soul level or the heart felt level, because they've needed to work through whatever it is they've needed to work through to get to this point. But this is the point, this is the turning point. So I feel the masks are coming off, the blinkers are coming off, the gags are coming off. So there's going to be a heartfelt expression, a soul-felt expression, a reconnection. And this feels very much because there's been a balancing over the last few months. If you've been following these readings, you will have seen this in the readings. a real coming into balance between the masculine and feminine within ourselves. And so this is bringing us to a point of enlightenment, a point of awakening, a point of higher perspective. And when that higher perspective kicks in, our lives naturally change as we make different choices. So this is the central card here. This is the In-Between Tarot, and it is the card between the Sun and the Judgment. So it's the transition between the Sun and the Judgment. The Sun is a really optimistic card. This is the Before Tarot. This is a very optimistic card, and it's bringing that wave of golden light. And I feel this is also connected to the fact that we've got the solar eclipse coming up in a couple of weeks, I think it is. But it's that solar energy really coming through and bringing positive emotions, positive thoughts, positive actions, inspiration. This is the Sun bringing a newborn child down into the world in bliss and joy. So it's between the worlds, coming down from heaven onto the earth, where it then will be carried by the horse, by this magical guided horse, which I also feel has a golden hue to it. I feel that golden white energy in it. So I feel like it represents the wave of light coming through this portal. And the child will ride on its back and be taken into this life that it's supposed to live, its path, its joyful path, its soul's journey. The sunflowers in the background follow the sun, and so they're about to wake up and follow the sun and follow the path, follow the golden path. So I can also see this as the new wave of starseeds coming in and arriving on the earth. But to me, it's also what I've been perceiving is this, even going back to that childhood before you've been molded by the world around you, where you have that pure knowing somehow of who you are and what you're here for, not cognitively, but in your field, in your heart, before you are guided and taught by the world around you and by your experiences and by what culture you're in and what country you're in and what the rules are. So it's going back to the purity of that, and at that point there was a path to follow. So that's the horse is the path that takes you on the path. There was that path to follow, and it was very pure and unimpeded. And so my feeling is going back to that, going back to what the codes are inherently in you at that point for what you're going to journey through in this life, what you're going to bring to the world, how you're going to enhance the world and all those around you, and what also you're going to gain from the world and learn from it and evolve from it. And going back to that pure path, reactivating that pure path, it feels like there's an opportunity to do that now, to really step into the purity of that pure path, which until now hasn't been chosen as you're working through everything else. And I feel this has come through after like the tower and the battle that we've seen in the last few readings. So that then brings us to, this is the awakening. So this is the reconnecting to heaven, reconnecting to the soul path, reconnecting to the soul knowing, waking up from everything you've been taught that's maybe not relevant when you connect into this level, and letting it drop away. So as the angels rise up, guided by that sun, that awakening sun, and they rise up back to connect to the knowing and the divine, you can see the world just drops away. It's less relevant. It's like when you're in a plane and you're looking down and it's all so small. And I even feel like that building representing to me the Tower, which the previous cards in the previous readings, the Tower is on fire, and everything that's no longer relevant comes down, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's coming down, and it has to, because you see the world differently because of your experiences, and what you know, and the levels that you've reached, and the karma you've worked through. Nothing's the same. It's no longer relevant. So I see that now it's being healed by the water. See, it's underwater. So there's water, emotion coming in, soothing it, cooling it, putting out the fire, but it's no longer relevant. You've risen above it. And the card after that's the Judgment. I didn't actually contrive this reading. I pulled this card first, and then I got a new deck, which was the Before Tarot, and the Sun and the Judgment came out. So this is the Sun to the Judgment, followed by the Sun before and the Judgment after. It's so poetic. I love it. But these are the before Judgment and the before the Sun. So the before the Judgment is when they're naked. They've died that death. The Tower's come down. The ego has shed. They've shed their old life. They've shed their mortal coil. It's representing the journey back up to heaven after, back up to the divine. And it's also a divine intervention. It's like, this has come to an end now. It's bigger than your lower self. It's bigger than your consciousness. It's bigger than your conscious choices. This is soul level choice, where you are part of a bigger picture. And it is something you're choosing. It's just being chosen at a level beyond your lower consciousness and your human understanding. You're being taken on this journey. You're raising up, and there's the angels above you about to call you up. They're about to call you up. You're thinking outside the box. The boxes are open. You're no longer in the box. The boxes are on the water. The emotions that you've been experiencing, that you've had to process, that you've gone through, that have altered you, made you think outside the box. And you're about to be called up to heaven with that trumpet. The angels are heralding you forward, upwards. The cross is healing. So you're being healed from what you've been through. It's over now. And these eclipse energies brings this golden and silver platinum wave. The Trinity, also seen there in the Judgment card. And you're being called forward. You're being called into action. The Sun is action. It's positive action. It's calling you forward to step onto your path, to your true calling. Okay, so I'm just being reminded. I had a vision this morning of the impact of an asteroid hitting the Earth, but in a positive way, and the words "get ready for impact." And so that's because we're moving to the star now, right? So the vision reminded me of a song which I'll post below. It's the Black Eyed Peas, "Meet Me Halfway," and it's about these two, the masculine and the feminine, being on separate planets, longing for each other, and thinking of each other and longing for each other. And at some point, they both take the physical action. They make the decision, and they take the physical action to meet each other halfway. So there's a distance between them. They're separate, and they decide it's time to unify at the same time. And my sense is, because this is happening in the stars and the heavens, that it's a higher consciousness level. It's not a human conscious level. It's beyond the human level. there's a soul level decision from both parties. And for twin flames, you are one anyway at those high levels. So there's that decision at a higher level to unify, to meet halfway, to come together. And as you come together, you both step into a portal, a vessel, like a Merkaba. And the Merkabas travel to the earth, which I see as the physical plane, the 3D reality, the lower selves. And they arrive on a highway at the same time. And the highway is the path. So I see this as the counterparts, or the divine feminine masculine within us, or the twin flames, initiating, and they're on the journey, ready for impact. And I feel that this this eclipse portal is the time of coming together. And I really strongly feel that where there's been no communication, or things kept back, it has been because it's not been a time to come together. And now so if there's been ghosting, or feelings hidden, or also seeing here that there is addictions. So this is so if there's been addictions or karmic relationships, things stopping one party or both parties from coming together into their full unity and their full heartfelt, soul-felt, genuine connections. It's been because you've been going through this process that the death has had to happen to get the full perspective. This hanged man is can represent, the Christ sacrificing himself in his physical life for the higher, and it represents him going into a trance and becoming enlightened, which is the halo around his head there. And she's giving him a narcotic to stop his physical pain. So I see that almost like the karmic partner, somebody in one of the parties' life, or in your life, to dull the pain, to distract you, but also what they're putting you through and the dynamics you play out with them also helps you reach enlightenment, because what they put you through makes you feel things, and even the numbing itself makes you feel things. So she's giving him a narcotic, which also takes you into a trance, which helps you connect to the spiritual. So the whole avoiding the physical pain eventually takes you into the spiritual trance, which gives you a different perspective. So that's at the base of this. And at the base of it also is the justice. So this is a forgiving of the past, an analysis of the past, a hearing both sides. So again, I feel that communication coming in. It's a hearing of both sides. It's a balancing out. It's a clearing the karma, a healing of the karma, taking responsibility. She's got the sword there, so it's the sword of truth. Really looking at the truth of the situation, the facts, which cut both ways. So taking responsibility for anything that you're responsible for, apologizing, forgiving, seeing the other person's perspective, forgiving, coming into balance, and also within yourself, looking at yourself, forgiving yourself, understanding why you've behaved that way or why you thought that, just coming into balance, hearing yourself, reviewing your life, looking at where those timelines have split and you've chosen one path, and why you chose that path, and why you avoided the higher path even, and understanding that that's what you needed to do, or that's what you chose to do, and it's all for a higher reason, but knowing that now is when you're being called to the higher path. And when it feels like this is like a tertiary level decision now. It's like you have cleared the path. Everything's being cleared for you. I had a dream last night that there was gardeners in my garden just cleaning up, and I didn't order them. They just came, and I was shown that it was like a cycle. So they come every month, like the full moon does, and they clear up all the debris in the garden and tidy everything up. And it was beyond my conscious decision or my conscious choice to call a gardener. So now I'm being shown the sun in all these cards. So there's the sun, but it's conscious. It's got a face. It's got a consciousness. It's beaming a wave of golden light. It's bringing it in. This golden light is here representing, you know, the dawn or the dusk. So it's that transition, and it's lighting. It's underlighting the angels and the enlightenment. There's the halo here around the head, and in the star, which is the next card we're moving to, it comes from this process of reviewing. This is a life review. This is a life review. Clearing of karma. This is leaving behind all the karma, all the old life, everything that you've been taught, and just bringing forward the lessons. And this is also a review and an ending, and a choosing to end the old and to step into a higher path. So with the higher path comes the star, and this is the Good Tarot, and I'd like to just read you the meaning from the Good Tarot. They're always very short and always very positive. So it's really like the initiation of the higher path, and you will know what that is because it will be inspired. It will come from within you. So this is the star, inspiration. I'm hopeful and inspired by life right now, and everything that is happening points to a renewed sense of encouragement. After all the changes I've experienced, I'm starting to recognize the hope that comes with new beginnings. So again, it's really that healing of everything you've been through, and understanding that everything you've been through has brought you to this now moment. And this now moment is a moment of inevitable change. Might be a very conscious ending or a very conscious beginning. But it does feel like we've been in a transition for at least 6 months, I would say even a year. We've been in this transition, and we're getting to this point now where the enlightenment, the clarity, the vision, the connection, the communication, and the balance is coming in and activating our higher inspiration, and it's activating this path, the path that the horse is carrying us on. It's activating the horse. It's activating the horse that knows the way, that's carrying us along the path. And so the card next to the star, this is graduation. It's moving up to the next level. So it's between the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. So it's a graduation from you know, the divine feminine, following her her intuitive guidance, following her heart, following her soul, and making very clear, concise decisions that are fair and loving, to the King of Cups, so the masculine version of that. And it's that balance again of the masculine and feminine coming into complete balance. And then I'm seeing that third energy activating between the masculine and feminine, or the twins. So there you can see the divine family as well. And he has this headdress on, which is very similar to her headdress, and very similar to the sun. I think it's very much the halo, the activated pineal gland, the divine inspiration active in the physical world in a balanced way, in the masculine and the feminine. This card is basically called moving up to the next level, graduating, higher authority, and it feels like it really is moving to that enlightened higher consciousness with divine inspired action in the world on your true path, on your higher timeline, inspired by the purity of what you're here for, and inspired by joy and inspiration. So I just picked a couple of cards now for what comes after this. So this is all in this eclipse period here, the between the full moon eclipse and the solar eclipse in Gemini, in a few weeks in June. And so what I got was the Knight of Cups. So this is the after tarot here, and this is the Knight of Cups, and I feel this is very balanced in the masculine feminine as well. It's a masculine body, but he's embodying his heart and his emotions, his sensitivity, his fairness, his empathy, and I see this as the cup there, where he's getting help from somebody else there for his own enlightenment. Here he's able to give that to himself, and it doesn't feel like it's a narcotic in terms of a distraction or a numbing. It feels like it's him receiving his own joy, his own inspiration, him accessing it within himself, having come into balance and moving forward. And so his cup is overflowing. I feel that waterfall in the background is showing that his cup is overflowing. He's in balance. He's drinking his own cup. I also haven't got the Four of Cups in this spread, but it's where the divine is offering him a cup and he can't see it. And all he can see is these other 3D cups. And that's what this one reminds me of as well. It's like somebody on the 3D is what he can see, until he takes the magic elixir and can access the higher. And I feel like now he can access the higher cup, the higher consciousness, and he can see the divine feminine rather than the wounded feminine. And I see this within us as well as within partnerships. So whatever's happening within us is reflected out in the world and who we meet and who we're attracted to. And then the King of Swords. So this King of Swords has made a decision. So he's thrust his sword through his crown into the earth, having made a decision, like based on truth. The sword is a sword of truth and clarity. So he's become clear. He's drunk the cup. He's come into balance. He's self-sustained. He's not codependent anymore. He's not avoiding his heart anymore. He's moving forward in a balanced way, taking action based on a higher consciousness, a higher heart, with that clarity and that strength. He is, so I really feel like the masculine activated here, in balance with the feminine principles. So he's got the falcon on his wrist. The falcon is about to, is waiting instructions from him. So he's got the clarity. He's about to give instructions that's going to change fate and destiny, not just for him, but for all around him and all in his realm, all in his kingdom. And there's also a connection on here to romantic relationships, connection between, on his throne you can see there's couples on there. So it's also addressing relationships as well. And then here we have the Ace of Swords. So this is real truth, clarity, honor, and we've got the hand of the divine there, stepping in into the decision making and giving clarity, and the falcon again appears and it's hooded, so it doesn't know yet where it's going. It's not conscious of where it's going, but at a higher level of consciousness, it's about to be given directions, and that direction is coming from clarity and truth, and it's going to change. It's going to change the life of you and all around you, based on a higher truth, higher guidance, higher direction, and a higher path. So let's just bring some light language through. I'm being taken to this card for the light language. So we're really focusing on the transition here between leaving behind everything that's not relevant. Obviously, when you transition into the afterlife, you don't take with you your car and your possessions and your clothes. So that's the naked truth. This is, pure, just who you are, your soul, your purpose, what you've learnt, and transitioning from that into the higher timelines in the new earth. Being shown the falcon now. Right. So now about to be given the instruction. And it's now coming in the form of inspiration, and the desire to follow that inspiration, and the knowing that it's all going to work out and that your desires are going to be met. It's being shown the enlightenment here again, as you shift from avoiding your problems to seeing them clearly and raising them to a higher level, and sacrificing all that's not relevant to that new world vision, that high vision of the world, and accepting the cup, the cup that you're being called to embody, to take into yourself, the wave of light that's coming, accepting the wave of golden light into the cells of your body, allowing that to bring you into balance. I'm seeing the scales there and the crown on the head and the truth of the sword. I'm also seeing here that there's a graduation from the being judged. The two characters in the foreground, they're pleading their case, dealing with their egoic level issues, to being the judge, to having the high vision, being the sovereign being that decides what's fair. So it's a shift in role. So this graduation into this king-queen, balanced king-queen of hearts, of cups, of the magic elixir, is also represented here as you graduate from the two characters in the forefront to the judge in the background, to the sovereign, to the balanced viewpoint, the adjudicator, the reviewer. it's like moving from the parishioners in a church to the priest. It's like moving from the subjects to becoming the sovereign. There is a inevitable shift happening. There's a responsibility that comes with that, but it's a responsibility that you're worthy of because you've worked through the lower levels and graduated. It's becoming the student to becoming the teacher, to attending a class to teaching the class. Yeah, okay. All right, that's it. So I hope you can all receive those energies, and I hope you receive the energies of the wave, of the triple wave of light coming through, and that it carries you forward into the enlightened, sovereign being, making the clear decisions that change your perspective and your lives and your direction for the foreseeable future or forever. It's like it's a change. It's a step up to a higher timeline, and there's no going backwards from there. It is a change, an inevitable change, a destined change, a powerfully potent change. It's like the crashing of this wave onto the shore. The wave has been forming, it's been building, the currents have carried it there, and then this is the wave arriving on the shore. It's those comets meeting halfway, arriving simultaneously onto the highway, onto the path. And it's that, if you're familiar with my painting, I've done some videos on it before, it's called Illumination. That's the dove of peace dropping the illuminated heart into humanity. It's the point that the egg drops into the heart. So yes, listen to that as many times as you need to, and do rest. I feel rest is coming up very much around this full moon. Rest and integration, it's a transition phase, so make sure you do that. Make sure you feel everything that comes up, feel your feelings, receive the energies, and release anything that's no longer relevant. Blessings, everybody.